My name is David. I'm from Barcelona, Catalonia, and I teach Catalan language and culture in the university. And besides this, I am also an activist mainly in the South Hermon Hills.
¿Cómo estás?
كل تمام.
We're going to speak English, not Spanish or Arabic. We welcome you to our show. We're glad to have you and to hear your story.
Happy to come as well.
First of all, we're curious to know why are you in Palestine and why out of all the countries around the world you chose Palestine, and you've been here for 2 years now.
Yes.
Why are you staying here?
Well, I came mainly to teach Catalan in the university. That was my main occupation, but also among the different places where I could do this, I chose Jerusalem because I'm interested in the political conflict that is going on since many years here, and also to get to know a different society or a country in the Arab world that was something unknown to me, and that now I still feel attached to it, and I still feel I want to know a bit more about it, and that's what keeps me here so far.
Nice. Tell us about the work you do here, and how did you get involved in solidarity movements around the West Bank, and what exactly you do?
Well, I'm mainly involved in an organization called Tayush, which works both in the South Hermon Hills and also in the Jordan Valley, with the goal of protecting Palestinians who have far lands close to settlements or outposts, and that feel harassed, usually either by the army or by the settlers. We stand with them. If they are shepherds, we go with their sheep. If they are farmers, we go to their lands in order to accompany them. And if there is the army coming or settlers coming, trying to show support and to have a stronger position to stay there, because the whole goal is to kick them out from their lands where usually they are allowed to be, and we want to make sure that this won't happen.
We're in Jericho right now, and we are seeing here Bedouins living here. How do you describe Bedouin life to people, and why is it important to protect the nature of their lives?
Yeah, I like this question because I like very much this environment, these villages that are so close to Jerusalem, maybe half an hour sometimes or an hour away, and so different from life in the city.
Yes.
The Bedouin villages are, well, people that have been living here for long, or people that were refugees from the Negev area in the 48 and established here, but they have kept this their way of life, and they usually have I don't find the word in English now, but they
say it in Spanish or Arabic.
They try to keep their way of living, while then the settlers or the army try to get them rid of here. And it's very difficult for me, or at the beginning it was difficult to understand, like, why in a place like that where there is nothing else, or like there's many kilometers of desert and a so peaceful place, you could face situations that violent. Well, at the end is the struggle for the land, like to kick people who have been living here out, but it's maybe more difficult or more striking to understand than in Jerusalem. Like, of course, it's also super bad, and that is totally unjustified. But
Yes.
the contrast, I think, in here, it's even higher for me.
You've been living here for about 2 years now. To those who've never been to Palestine, and to those who only have a certain stereotype about Palestine and Palestinians, how do you describe life here under occupation, under the Israeli occupation?
Well, it's very hard. I would describe occupation as a set of people sitting inside a room trying to figure out in which ways they can make life of Palestinians impossible. I think that's the goal, and that's everything that's happening in the West Bank. It comes from this idea, and then it's implemented into different ways. Like, one way to kick people out is, well, demolishing their houses.
Yeah.
Another way is trying to cut the electricity and the water supplies, which happens as well in these territories. Another way is trying to avoid them having medical treatment, which is something that just happened in the South Hebron Hills, in the firing zone area, where a medical car used to go and to these villages to provide medical assistance, and now just this week this car has been banned for some time to enter there.
Yes.
So it's all sorts of things that with the goal of making life impossible.
And what's the most difficult and challenging thing, in your opinion, that Palestinians face on a daily basis?
Well, I guess probably in every territory, in every village or every city, there is different thing, like from the list
Yeah.
I was talking about, like people who live in Bethlehem and go to work in Jerusalem, or in Ramallah and go to work to Jerusalem, they have to face checkpoints every day. The same in the north, from the ones who work in Tel Aviv. And for them, like waking up at 5 a.m. or even before sometimes to arrive at work at 8 or 9 every day, and spending maybe 2 hours stuck in the checkpoint. It's probably something very hard. Also, when they need to go back in the evening or in the afternoon, like to spend that so much time in trip which is 8, 9, 10 kilometers. So this would be one case. But then for people living in here, they have other issues. They don't commute to Jerusalem. They have to be, or they are threatened by new outposts that physically harass them. So maybe that will be their main problem. So I don't know if I responded to your question.
Yeah, of course,
but,
of course. Of course.
I would say every place has its own.
Its own challenges and difficulties, of course. You came here in 2017.
Right.
How has living here changed David? And what aspects?
That's a good question. Well, it made me be more aware of the situation, more than I was before, because like being in the field gets you to know many more details of the situation. And well, also it was a process of learning how another society works and builds, and it was interesting to me as a person, like undergoing this process. Because from the outside maybe you can have a particular idea of Palestine, but when you are here, you see that it's very complex. That also there are not two sides, Israel and Palestine, but inside Palestine there are also many different views and positions, and get to know and understand position of each one and what is it motivated for, and with which goals, and what drives people to do what they do, was on this sense. Interesting.
And when you came here, did you have any cultural shock? You know, moving from the west to the east.
Yeah, of course, it's very different. And as I said, I hadn't lived in an Arab country before. I think the shock, or the highest shock I had, was during Ramadan.
Okay. Interesting.
Because I live in East Jerusalem, and walking back home at 12 a.m. or 1 a.m. at night, and seeing the Salahadin street full of people with plenty of lights, like so much life going on, it was shocking for me. Like usually when I would come back home at 12 p.m. or 12 a.m. there would be no one in the street, like completely
everyone would be
deserted.
asleep.
Yeah, and like after, because this was in May, I arrived in October, so it was some months that I thought more or less I knew the place, that I could manage out, and suddenly that was
so
probably
like, what's going on? Why are people staying up all night long?
Because during Ramadan, Muslims don't eat during the day, like they fast, and then life starts when the sun has set, because the people go out, they can eat again, so that they have iftar, which is the meal they eat to break the fasting, and there's a lot of life going on during the night, because it's when they can eat. Then during the day the situation reverses, and like most or many people who can sleep, and they wake up later. But like this totally
reversed.
A month in which life was completely upside down was
And when people
shocking.
come back also to their normal life, also it's kind of challenging, because you have to adjust your time, and waking up early again, it's hard.
I guess so. I haven't done it, but
So you live in Jerusalem, and you've been to, I'm sure, Tel Aviv and different cities on the occupied Palestine. How do you compare Palestinian life to Israeli life when it comes to the quality of life?
Well, very different. When I'm in the 48, like in these cities you said, it's living there can be very similar to living maybe in a city in Europe or in the US, with the difference that maybe internationals don't feel so much, but probably Israelis do, that there is a conflict, of course. Maybe you can't see it on your daily life, but most people are aware of it, and somehow or the other they have an opinion and they have concerns. But they can have their daily life, going to work without restrictions, not being harassed at night. They can be at home, and the army or the border police is not going to break into their homes and maybe kidnap some of the kids or the children. They can live much safer, and they have concerns, but of course are lesser concerns than the ones that Palestinians are facing.
David, how important it is to have international people in these regions?
Well, I think all kinds of support are important, Palestinian, Israeli and international. But if we have internationals, this means that we have people around us that knows us and that will get to know the situation. And if something happens to internationals, it can be a higher problem. So it's unfortunately it will be probably easier in the news, or it can become some, depending on the situation, but a problem between governments. So I think it's important, yeah, in general, to do actions that can let the world know what's going on. Of course, we act in a very local level, like day to day, and we know that we're not going to change it from today to tomorrow, but yeah, building these ties with people from around the world, I think it's very important. I feel part of the struggle because I care what's going on in Palestine, because there is an occupation power, and there is like but also in other parts of the world. I think that struggles ideally should be united and together, and we should try to think on these terms. And well, this is.
Do you think it will eventually change the public opinion, the international public opinion?
I think like the public opinion, the international public opinion in general, is quite aware or in favor, or they don't support the Israeli occupation, they are against it, and blah blah blah. But then when it comes to facts, there are very few, no? And so I think this is what needs to be changed, like implementing the public opinion, like it's there, but something needs to be done, like. Government, of course, hadn't not done much. They would, or they should actually, because there have been international regulations violated.
You mean governments around the world?
Yeah.
Yes.
But they are not taking a position or clear position against settlements, for instance, which is against international regulations. There are some international organizations which come here and do nice work on the field, but I think more stuff needs to be done, and we have to switch this from the theoretical support to a practical support.
Yes, of course. Okay, we're going to switch from talking about politics to talking about one of the most interesting subjects worldwide, which is sport and football. Because you're from Spain, I'm sure you are constantly I asked about football and the Spanish league. What do you think of the Palestinians' interest and maybe obsession about about the Spanish league?
Yeah, actually, I was very surprised for that as well. Like, this is one of the things when I got here.
Yes.
Also, maybe not cultural shock, but yeah, shock somehow. And well, it is the first question I usually get asked when I meet new people. Do you support Barcelona or Real? No? And well, it's somehow something I understand, because where I'm from, the football is also a very important sport in society. So I understand that in here. The only difference is like, well, the distance, not they are following a league which is many kilometers away, but yeah, we're becoming more similar in this sense.
What's your message that you would like to deliver to the world about Palestine and Palestinians?
Come to visit. It's don't stay just looking what's going on, or maybe afraid of going there because you've been told it's dangerous or whatever. No, please come. Palestinian people are so they have so much hospitality. It's super nice to walk in these villages and have a cup of tea with families. They will invite you to everything. They will tell how their life is, what are the problems they really face, and I think if you care about it, it's really worth coming.
Nice. Thank you very much, David. Thank you for staying with us, and thank you for being on our show.
Thanks for inviting me.